Some are raising eyebrows regarding a dating site that caters to violent criminals in Canada. These are people who have been convicted of murder, of rape, of pimping, and other violent crimes. It's referred to as Canadian Inmates Connect, and even though these inmates do not have access to the internet, what happens is the person who runs this, Melissa Fazina, who's 39 years old, will take their information after they pay a $35 annual fee and create the profiles for them. After that, someone who's not in prison will, look through the profiles and decide on who they want to write to. So everything is done through snail mail after that point, okay? And some of the comments, some of the needs and wants of these inmates are super interesting. So let me give you a few of their quotes. One says, "I expected honestly at some point to be getting hate mail. I was surprised when somebody wrote me and wanted to be pen pals." Okay? One other person wrote on his profile, "I'm seeking a confident woman that does not judge a book by its cover."
Well, it's not really the cover if you've been convicted of serious crime.
Yeah.
That's kind of the content of the book.
Yeah, exactly. That shows a little bit about your character. I could be wrong. And by the way, that guy's a murderer, so I don't know. So look, there are so many interesting angles to tackle this story from, right? There's the angle of, okay, what should the justice system be like? Should these individuals have access to people in the outside world? Should they be able to interact with them? The other question is, what kind of person is ever interested in communicating with a violent criminal who's been convicted, who's in prison probably for the rest of his life, and what kind of benefit do they get from that?
There's another interesting question, is that there are violent criminals in Canada?
Very few compared to the United States, interestingly enough. So we'll get to that in a sec. But let me give you a few more of the people who are on this site. There's Brett Jones, a former semi-pro hockey star who bludgeoned his girlfriend with a garden tool in Red Deer back in 2009. He says, "Personality is something I have never lacked."
Well,
He addressed his potential suitors, okay? "I've always been outgoing and sociable. Manners are important to me. It's a desirable trait."
Manners are important to you. You bludgeoned your girlfriend with a hose. Is that
a garden tool?
a garden tool?
Yeah, it
worse.
could have been a rake or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should mind your own manners. I love these guys are unbelievable.
No, there are actually convicted, like, murderers who are picky about the type of women who can respond to them. Yeah. So we'll get to that. John Derek Mills, for example, who is serving time for armed robbery, discharging at police, dangerous driving, etc., wrote that he needs a good friend to remind him what's good in the world. "I hope you can be that friend," he writes. Also, another, I'm sorry.
My neighbor.
One of the employees at the prison, at one of these prisons, is saying, look, there's upsides and downsides to something like this, right? He says almost anything that can create a sense of community and belonging upon release, or even while you're in there, increases the possibility of a safe reintegration, because often these guys are coming out with nothing and nobody. So, he's trying to make the point that, hey, maybe a dating website isn't the right way to go about things, but maybe it makes sense to give them a way to safely interact with people in the outside world, just so if they happen to get out, they have, members of the community that they can integrate with. Mark Moore, who claims to have been wrongfully convicted of quadruple homicides, is looking for Miss Universe between the ages of 22 and 40 in good shape that would like to explore with a rap star. Race isn't an issue, perhaps a bubble butt, but certainly double Ds.
Yeah, he's got to be kidding. But maybe he's not. Who knows?
No.
Okay. Okay, look, you're right. The lib in me, which is in reality the rational person in me, doesn't want these people separated from the world completely. I get it, they're in jail. That's the point of jail. But that a lot of them are going to come out. And so when they do, we want them to be able to get back into society in a constructive way and not to go back into jail. All that stuff is true. It's true. And you want to pick, petty criminals and people involved in drugs, and you want to help them out. You're a better person than I am, but I love it, right? But then
if you're in prison for drug-related offenses, absolutely give them access to the outside world. Like, I don't think anyone should even be in prison for that.
Of course. So we've got to look at the other side of the equation for 1 second here, which is the people that want to date the criminals.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay. So now, again, you're an angel and you want to help people who are in jail. Wonderful. I love you. Okay. Again, it's not what I would have spent my time on, but that's because you're a better person than I am. But you want to date a rapist or a murderer? Then I got to question your psychology a little bit. There's a little something wrong going on there.
So I think that there are two possibilities at play, right? So the first possibility, and it's actually talked about in this long Vice article, is that these women are just curious about what's going on in prison and what these guys are really like. And so, they go on the site, like they heard about it in the news, and they start communicating with someone, and they don't expect to fall in love, but they somehow fall in love. I don't know what percentage of women actually, but here's the argument that I do buy. I think that people are drawn to individuals that have similarities to them. I'm not saying that the women writing to them are also murderers or rapists. I'm saying that they are probably from similar disadvantaged backgrounds.
I'm not sure I would bet that.
Really?
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, but it's also like the Menendez brothers, one of them got married, and I don't know if she was poor or rich, and I don't know if she was from the same socioeconomic. They were rich, of course. And so I think that it's a certain psychology. We don't know.
What kind of psychology are you referring to? Like a control thing?
No, people like, so there's two different parts of it. One, some girls really like bad boys, and they take you to a different level. I'm not kidding. You think that's crazy because from your perspective, come on, that's a bit much with the bad boys. But some are looking for that. And so they think like, ooh, murder, that's dangerous. Oh, no, I'm just experimenting. No, I'm just curious. Oh, I fell in love, right? No, that's what they were looking for, right? And then the second part is they literally want a captive audience. You're not, so you got guys who are not paying enough attention to you. Well, this dude's sitting in jail. He doesn't have a choice.
I think, look, I definitely see some percentage of women being, lured in by that idea. I don't know if the bad boy thing holds up. I'm really curious to see. I don't know if anyone's ever going to do a study or any analysis in this. But yeah, girls like bad boys, but I think that that's like overblown, to be honest. Like,
no way.
No, it is because we theoretically like bad boys, right? But we don't really like bad boys.
No, you're looking at it totally from your perspective, and you're a square, Anna. You sat in the
That's mean.
No, you sat in the front of the class and you raised your hand all day long.
I did.
You're the one pretending to like bad boys, but actually want really, really good boys.
My first ever boyfriend was a tagger, and that was when I was.
Ooh, wow.
I was a bad girl.
Yeah. Did he have a skateboard?
I think he did.
See? Okay. No. There are women who are looking for real bad boys. Yeah. You just can't relate to it, but they're out there. You want to watch the whole 2-hour show, Young Turks, anytime you want, anywhere you want, any way you want, no commercials? I know what you're thinking.
People should die. They want Tony Snow to die. Cheney to die.
That's not what I meant at all. Nonetheless, become a member, tyrtnetwork.com/join.